Good evening, good afternoon. It's a wonderful day, and I am so happy that you are here with me. God is good to us. He has blessed us to live to see another day and to be able, bless me to be able to share another episode of Point of View with Ms. Shirley Polk. It is such a privilege and a blessing. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here with me on this April 21st in the year 2026. How obligated should you be? How obligated should you be? We're going to talk about how obligated we should be when people have disappointed us over and over again. And it could be vice versa. How obligated should they be if we have disappointed someone over and over again? So, as I said, this is Point of View with Ms. Shirley Polk, and I am so happy that you are here with me today. So happy that you are here. Dear God, as I sit before you to speak, I pray to you that my soul you will keep. And if I should die before I finish, I pray to you, dear God, in the name of Jesus, that any outstanding sins will be forgiven. Amen. How obligated should you be when people keep disappointing you? Okay, and in being.com, the key is to respond to disappointment in a healthy and constructive way by acknowledging your feelings, communicating openly, managing your expectations, practicing self care, and fostering forgiveness and empathy. You can navigate disappointment and emerge from it stronger. Oh, yes, you can, and I like that. That's what from my being.com, one of my helpers here. One of my helpers here. How to act with a person who has disappointed you. Psychology today tells us 8 steps to take when someone disappoints you. 8 steps to take when someone disappoints you. And psychology4.com, I'm going to go there first. I'm going to go there first. How to act with a person who has disappointed you. And we talk about compassion, we talk about self compassion, and sometimes there are things we have to do in order to protect ourselves. And then we go on these guilt trips sometimes and we beat ourselves up sometimes psychologically because we're disappointed and we did something. Maybe we had to cut someone off from us. Maybe we had to do that in order to keep ourselves together because some people just act like they don't get it. They keep disappointing over and over and over again. How far should you go when they just keep disappointing over and over and over again? So that's what we're going to deal with today when people keep disappointing you over and over again. I am just so happy to be here. So happy that God has allowed me to be here with you another time, another day. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I'm going to continue here with this. And I am so happy, my friend. I had not talked to one of my friends for maybe 2 or 3 months, and I finally got in touch with her today, and I am just so happy about that. So we had uh, so far 2 calls together, conversations, and I am just so happy. God is so good to us, isn't He? Okay, let's go ahead with this. How to act with a person who has disappointed you. This is reviewed by Psychology for Team, and this is Psychology for FOR.com, Psychology4.com. And our table of contents is of here is number one: why disappointment feels so painful. Two, different types of disappointment and what they mean. Three, step one: regulate your emotional state before responding. Four, step two: clarify your goals. Five, step three: communicate with precision and compassion. Six, how to handle defensive or hostile reaction. Seven, forgiveness versus reconciliation. Know the difference. Eight, setting and enforcing boundaries. Nine, repair and rebuilding trust, a gradual process. 10, practical scripts to use and what to avoid. 11, when disappointment signals a deeper problem. 12, self care and repairing your emotional world. 13, how culture, attachment, and past wounds shape your response. 14, when to seek professional help. 15, real world examples and how to apply these principles. 16, practical checklist: what to do after being disappointed. 17, uh, questions about how to act with a person who has disappointed you. 17, 1, how long should I wait before talking to someone who disappointed me? 17.2, is it reasonable to ask for an apology every time I'm disappointed? 17.3, how do I know if I should forgive someone or end the relationship? 17.4, what if the person blames me instead? 17.5, can I forgive but still keep distance? 17.6, how do I rebuild trust after a serious breach? 17.7, what if cultural or family expectations pressure me to stay? 17.8, are there quick phrases that help diffuse tension during confrontation? 17.9, how do I protect myself emotionally if the other person refuses to change? 17.10, can therapy help even if the other person refuses to attend? Oh, I think this is going to take the whole hour up, huh? How to act with the person who has disappointed you. And this is psychology4.com. First time I've been here, and the whole team reviewed this. It said it's reviewed by the team. So let's just get right into this. I'm so happy about this, so excited that it's coming through and everything is working well by the grace of God. I'm just so glad. And this is psychology. Oh, yes. So let's get into this. Oh, disappointment, as we all know, is one of the most common yet most misunderstood emotional experiences in human relationships. It can feel like a quiet erosion, small lights that accumulate, or like an abrupt fracture when someone breaks a promise or acts in a way that contradicts the image you held of them. It's sad sometimes. Sometimes we can be so disappointed, and sometimes we've been such a disappointment to other people. Yes. So, whatever the form, disappointment asks us to respond, to speak, to protect ourselves, to decide whether the relationship is worth repair. How we act in those moments shapes not only the relationship's future, but also our own emotional health and sense of integrity. Oh, this is so good. I am excited about this. Oh, yes, we've all experienced, all of us have experienced disappointment. And we know that it doesn't feel good. And then when we've disappointed someone else, and then we come to our senses and we realize that hurt them. What can I do? Can I rebuild a relationship? Sometimes we want to. We really do. Sometimes there are things that go on in our world, in our minds, that it just engulfs us, it overtakes us, and sometimes we act so unseemly. And then, by the grace of God, we come to our senses. Sometimes we can mend the relationships, sometimes we can't. But we have to keep on moving and make sure that if we were at fault, that we don't ever let ourselves get that way again, or someone else was at fault, then we must do the thing that protects us and them, the best thing for each of us. Sometimes it hurts the decisions we have to make, but sometimes that decision that hurts the most is the best decision. So, this article offers an expert, psychologically informed roadmap for interacting with a person who has disappointed you. It is designed for real world use, clear steps, practical scripts, and evidence based strategies to help you regulate your emotions, communicate effectively, and make choices that reflect your values. And this is what we really, really have to be careful about. We have to, if we have high values, good morals, we have to do everything we can in order to protect them, sustain them, okay? And if we've messed up, regain them, all right? So, whether the disappointment is minor or profound, the goal is the same. Respond in ways that preserve your dignity, increase clarity, and reduce the chance of recurring hurt. I said it in my own words, didn't I? Early on, you'll find concrete guidance on calming your nervous system, crafting a conversation that lands, and spotting the difference between a flexible lapse and a pattern that signals deeper incompatibility. A conversation that lands, crafting a conversation that lands, a conversation that can be understood, a grounded conversation, okay? You'll also get sample language to say and not say, ways to set and enforce boundaries. Don't we talk about boundaries? Boundaries are crucial. Boundaries are crucial, okay? So, and markers that indicate whether repair and reconciliation are realistic. Sometimes reconciliation and repair are not realistic. They're not good for the disappointed nor the disappointed. Sometimes you just have to go your separate ways for protection. Interwoven into the practical advice are psychological principles about expectation management, attachment dynamics, and emotional regulation. So you act not from reactivity, but from grounded intention. All right? So if you've ever frozen, exploded, or retreated after being let down, this piece will give you a better script and a clearer sense of choice. You don't have to be perfect at handling disappointment. You only need a reliable process that honors your feelings, communicates your needs, and protects your long term well being. This is what it's all about. well-being. Thank you for being here. Good afternoon. And if you're not watching live, hello, hello, hello. I am so happy you're here. And wherever you are, I decree happiness, contentment, peace of mind, okay? Healing if you need it. And that's in the happiness and the contentment. Okay. In the name of Jesus. So I'm going to go ahead and go into this so that we'll have a comprehensive human centered approach to acting with someone who has disappointed us, you, me. This part right here is why disappointment feels so painful. Why disappointment feels so painful. At its core, disappointment is a psychological collision between expectation and reality. And I must say that again. At its core, disappointment is a psychological collision between expectation and reality. When we invest trust, time, or hope in another person, we form predictions about their behavior. That prediction becomes a part of how we plan, how we feel safe, and how we allocate emotional energy. When someone violates those predictions, whether intentionally or not, the result feels like a threat to our social safety. Oh my goodness, this is so good. It feels like a threat to our social safety. Neuroscience shows social pain and physical pain share neural circuits. This is why relational injuries can register in your body as tension in the chest, a hollow sensation in the stomach, or sleep disturbance. Emotionally, the pain tends to have two parts: the immediate sting of being let down, and a secondary blow to your confidence in your judgment. You may think, how could I have trusted them? Oh, yes. Does it bring anything to mind? Any situations in your life? Recognizing that the experience is biologically and psychologically meaningful helps you avoid trivializing your own reaction. The goal isn't to over identify with the pain, but to treat it seriously enough to respond thoughtfully. So many times we blow up and we might say something that we could never, ever, ever recall. Okay? That means call it back. Once it's out there in the atmosphere, it's out there. Next, different types of disappointment and what they mean. Not every disappointment is the same, and how you act should depend on what kind you're facing. So, here are common categories. Categories of disappointment, okay? Accidental or situational disappointments is the first point. Something outside the person's control, a missed call due to an emergency. These often require compassion and brief problem solving. Accidental and situational disappointments. The next is neglect but not malicious. Neg- Negligent but not malicious. The person forgot an important date or failed to follow through due to carelessness. This can be repaired with accountability and changed routines. That's negligent but not malicious. The next is betrayal or breach of trust. It's getting more serious now, isn't it? Significant broken promises or behaviors that violate agreed boundaries. These injuries require careful assessment of motives and patterns. Yes, they do. It's getting more serious now. And the next type of disappointment is recurrent pattern of small disappointments, a repeated failure to meet your basic expectations. Patterns often matter more than single incidents because they do this once, then they do something else, which is familiar with the one that they did at first, and they just keep doing this and doing, developing a pattern. So it's recurrent pattern of small disappointments. Determining which category you're dealing with is crucial because it informs whether you should lean toward forgiveness and repair or toward reconstructing the relationship and enforcing boundaries. Hello, Joyce. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you so much. Step one, regulate your emotional state before responding. And I'm talking about when someone just disappoints you over and over again. How much further should you go with them? What should you do? How obligated are we to put up with this? Step one, regulate your emotional state before responding. Check yourself. And I like that and I talk about that sign on the way to Austin when they had this sign. I don't know whether it's still there because I haven't driven that way and I haven't been that way in a while. But it says, check yourself before you wreck yourself. And I mentioned it to my children, and my daughter said that phrase is coined by Ice Cube. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. So what this is saying is that regulate your emotional state before responding. When you feel wounded, your brain's natural tendency is to respond from fight, flight, or freeze. And we talk about flight or fight or flight, or freeze. We talk about that. We've talked about it more than once. Acting in that state tends to escalate conflict or lead to avoidant outcomes. Before you engage, prioritize calming your nervous system so your response is more measured and effective. Have you had And I'm pretty sure I've responded before I should have. I didn't collect myself. I didn't think, didn't know to think. I've learned so much in these years of my life, and I'm so thankful. I've learned so much, but there have been times that we've just blown up when something happened and we didn't think about it, didn't know we should think about it or whatever. It just got us so sometimes they catch us by surprise and we just don't know how to react. And so we just blow up, we just do the natural thing. But this today is helping us out. And I am so glad. The older we get, the more we're exposed to, and the more opportunities we have to do it right. Okay? Practical steps to regulate. Take deliberate, slow breaths for 2 to 5 minutes. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. This engages the parasympathetic nervous system. Things to do before you react, okay? Next, briefly name the emotions out loud. The emotion or emotions out loud to yourself. I'm feeling angry and disappointed. Labeling reduces the intensity of emotion. Next, give yourself a time buffer, a short pause, hours to 1 day, depending on the severity, lets the immediate spike of emotion subside so you can think clearly. And have you, I know you have, that you didn't respond. Sometimes some things catch us by surprise and we really don't know what to say. And sometimes we're just flabbergasted and we can't say anything. And then when we think about it for a few hours or overnight, maybe a couple of days, then we're glad that we did not respond because we can think a little clearer. We're supposed to be able. So give yourself a time buffer. You could do it from hours to 1 day. It just depends on the severity. It depends on the severity. And what might be severe to me might not be severe to you. We have to think about that too. So it lets the immediate spike of emotion subside so you can think clearly. So many people have instantly reacted and have never been able to recall that action. Yeah, and they haven't been so good either. Use grounding techniques if needed. Feel your feet on the floor. Describe your environment in detail or do a five senses inventory. Responding from calm is not avoidance, it's strategic. It maximizes the chance your message will be heard. So just because you didn't respond, lickety split and all up in the air and fussing and a cussing and a waving your hands and all that, it doesn't mean that it's not avoidance. It's strategic when you take time and think about it. Oh, yes, it is. Strategy. You must have a strategy. We doing things haphazardly can be very, very harmful, very dangerous. And like I said, many times we cannot recover what we've said or done. It's too late, too late. Oh my goodness. This is good. So let me go on because we have a way to go. Oh, and I'm over halfway into my hour. Now, step two, clarify your goals. Step two, clarify your goals. Before you talk to the other person, be clear about what you want from the interaction. Different goals require different approaches. That's why it's talking about being strategic, having a strategy. Okay, so the first point under this is if you want apology and acknowledgement, your message should invite reflection without blame, making it safe for the other person to own the mistake. And many people are not going to own it, but we have to clarify our goals, okay? Give them time. It should invite reflection without blame so we can make it safe for the other person to own the mistake. Sometimes they won't, but at least you're giving them a chance. If you want behavioral change, is the next point. Specify what needs to be different, why it matters to you, and how you will notice the change. Oh, this is good. I get so happy about all of this success at these topics that I ask God for, and He sends them to me, and I am just so excited. They help me too. None of us are to the point where we don't need some help and guidance. If you want behavioral change, what do you want? Okay. Specify what needs to be different, why it matters to you, and how you will notice the change. Next point, if you want distance or a boundary, state the boundary clearly and explain the consequence if it's violated. Okay. Next point, if you want to dissolve the relationship, be direct but respectful. Clarity reduces ambiguity and future hurt. And if we know people, and if you know a person, you know what kind of temperament they have, you know what their past actions have been, you must be very, very careful. You must be wise. And that's why it says you have to have a strategy. Sometimes you cannot be in the presence of a person depending on the severity of the disappointment. You have to speak to them at a distance for sure. So, common sense, okay? Choosing a goal helps you avoid diffuse complaints and keeps the conversation solution oriented. The next is step 3, communicate with precision and compassion. Be precise, but be compassionate, okay? Effective conversation combines clarity with emotional intelligence. Use language that invites cooperation rather than triggering defensiveness. So here's a recommended structure for the conversation. And this conversation is communicate with precision and compassion. That's the aim, okay? So the first point is start with a concise observation. State the behavior that disappointed you without exaggerations. For example, when you didn't call me after promising to, I felt hurt. Okay? Start with a concise observation. Next, describe your internal experience. Use I statements to convey impact. For example, I felt abandoned and worried. The next is anchor it in values. Explain why it matters. For example, keeping commitments is important to me because I rely on people to be predictable. The next is state a clear request. What do you need now? I need an apology and to know how you'll prevent this. What do you need now? And tell them, I need an apology and to know how you'll prevent this. Next, invite their perspective. Give them a chance, okay? Help me understand what happened from your side. And so here's some examples, some scripts here. When you missed our meeting without telling me, I felt dismissed and frustrated. Reliable communication matters to me because I plan my work around your commitments. Would you be willing to explain what happened and tell me how you'll make sure this doesn't happen again? That sounds so good, doesn't it? It's well constructed and it's fair. And it tells us that this script blends firmness and curiosity. This script builds firmness and curiosity. It signals that you value the relationship but are not willing to accept careless treatment. If we start it right, then they already know what to expect. We already know what to expect, okay? And then when these times come where we need to have these conversations, this is the map, all right? This is the roadmap. Next is how to handle defensive or hostile reactions. Because some people, when you try to talk with them, you try to reason with them, they get very hostile, very indignant. And that's why I said, if you know the person, you know how they'll act, react, then sometimes it's not good if they have violent tendencies, uh, not to be in person with this conversation. So, how to handle defensive or hostile reactions. If the other person becomes defensive, remember that defensiveness is usually a fear based response. Their goal is often to protect their self image. When you encounter defensiveness, try these methods. The first point is stay calm and avoid matching anger. Mirror their affect only to show empathy, not to escalate. The next point is reflective listening. Repeat back the core of what they said to show you heard them. It sounds like you felt overwhelmed and didn't realize how it affected me. Then the next is refocus on behavior and values, not character assassination. And here's an example. I'm not saying you're irresponsible. I'm saying the missed commitment created a problem for me. Next, set limits if they attack. Set limits if they attack. You can pause the conversation. I want to continue this, but not if we're shouting. Let's take a break and come back in 30 minutes. Sometimes you need to, as my sister Cleester says, get some yonder. Okay? If you feel threatened, you feel that your life, your well being may be physically endangered and even emotionally endangered, and you don't feel like it's going to be a progressive conversation, it's time to get some yonder and be as wise and tactful and strategic as you can in order to get some distance, okay? Be very careful. De escalation often opens the door to accountability. Escalation usually closes it, and that's a fact. Hi, thank you for being here. Please share this webcast. Somebody else needs it. They really do. Forgiveness versus reconciliation. Know the difference. People often conflate forgiveness with reconciliation. Psychologically, these are separate processes. Forgiveness is an internal shift where you stop ruminating or seeking revenge. It's about your emotional freedom and doesn't require the other person's involvement. Great definition. Reconciliation requires mutual effort. The person who hurt you must acknowledge, change behavior, and rebuild trust. You can forgive without reconciling. Choosing to forgive is often healthier because it liberates you from ongoing bitterness. Choosing to reconcile is more demanding and should be based on demonstrated behavior change, not on promises alone. Setting and enforcing boundaries. And sometimes people just apologize. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I love you. I won't ever do that again. Or you're my friend. I would never do that to you again. I didn't know I did that. Oh, if I did, will you forgive me? I won't do it anymore. And they've done it, talking about the pattern over and over again. Oh, yeah. So that's why it says that choosing to reconcile is more demanding and should be based on demonstrated behavior change, not on promises alone. Next is setting and enforcing boundaries. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. We need to have boundaries in every phase of our lives, okay? A disappointed response often signals that your boundaries were violated. Boundaries are statements of what you will and will not accept. They are not punitive, they are protective. All right? So, how do you set a boundary? Here we go. How to set a boundary. The first is state the behavior you will not tolerate. Here's an example: I will not accept being ghosted the day of an event. Next point is explain the consequence calmly. Be calm when you explain it, okay? If it happens again, I will stop planning events with you for the next 3 months. Next, follow through. Consequences are meaningful only if they are enforced. Oh, yes, they are. Talking about how obligated are you? How obligated should you be? Consistency in boundaries builds respect. Inconsistency invites repeated violations. And I know you've seen it happen. If it hasn't happened to you, you've seen it happen to someone else. Repair and rebuilding trust, a gradual process. When trust has been damaged, but you decide to attempt repair, expect a gradual, measurable process. Trust is rebuilt by repeated small actions that confirm the person's reliability. Some people will just repeat the offenses over and over again, these habits they have, these patterns that they have, and then you know, oh, I forgive you. Okay, here we go. We all huddle up and whatever. We're all friendly, friendly, friendly again, just like nothing happened. You have to think about it, and you have to take this gradually and let people know that no, 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 we're not going to do that again. We're going to have to take this gradually. It has to be a measurable process if we are to be reconciled. Okay? If it's this relationship is to be repaired and we rebuild the trust. This has to be a gradual process. So it's no, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I forgive you. And then jump right back where we were. No, we're not doing that anymore. Stand your ground, okay? When trust has been damaged, but you decide to attempt repair, expect a gradual, measurable process. And I repeat this because it needs to be repeated. Trust is rebuilt by repeated small actions that confirm the person's reliability. The first point is ask for concrete commitments rather than vague apologies. Can you text me if you're running more than 15 minutes late? The next is set short term tests, small interactions where the person can demonstrate consistency. If a person cares for you, and I don't have to say genuinely, if a person cares for you, they will make the effort to repair and reconcile. They will do it. So you have to set these short term tests and you have to be wise, okay? Small interactions where the person can demonstrate consistency. Then track progress. Notice whether behavior aligns with commitments over time. Next, allow for honest mistakes, but distinguish between single errors and systemic patterns. Okay? You have to be wise. You have to be firm, stern, consistent. Okay? You must. If you want to reconcile, repair, or if you want to determine whether reconciliation and repair is possible, or if you want to dissolve the relationship, it's all a strategy, it's all a process. Okay? It's all timely. So if the person shows sustained behavioral change, trust can return. If not, the wise move is to recalibrate the relationship's closeness to a level that protects you. Didn't I say that? Yes, I did. We have 9 minutes. Oh, wow. Practical scripts to use and what to avoid. People often sabotage repair attempts with blame heavy language or passive aggressive tactics. So, here below, what I'm going to read to you are useful scripts and a short list of phrases to avoid. So, here are the helpful scripts. I want to tell you something that's been hard for me. When X happened, I felt Y. I'm sharing this because I value our relationship and want to prevent this from repeating. Then the next one is I need clarity about what happened so I can decide how to move forward. Can you tell me what was going on? Next, I understand that you were stressed. Still, I need to know what steps you'll take so I don't keep worrying about the same issue. That's so nice, isn't it? Now, here are phrases to avoid. You always or you never. Global statements that provoke defensiveness. And we know that this is true, don't we? Next, if you really loved me, you would. That's manipulative and guilt inducing. Oh, yeah. Next, silent treatment or public shaming. These often deepen the wound and damage your moral authority. And I saw something on the line where this celebrity couple, and the statement was he cheated on her in the public and divorced her, something like that. And now he's divorcing her again, something like that. But it was saying you cheated on her in the public, you disgraced her in the public, you did all this in the eye of the public, and now you're doing it again. It was something like that. And this happens many times over and over again. I have 7 minutes. When disappointment signals a deeper problem, talking about that public shaming. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That was the example that I used about this celebrity couple. And they say he cheated on her in the public, he divorced her in the public, embarrassed her, something like that. Yeah, this happens. It happens. So when disappointment signals a deeper problem, not all disappointments are repairable, and that's for real. You know that, don't you? Some point to fundamental incompatibilities or to patterns of disrespect or abuse. Consider professional help if you notice. First, a repeated pattern of boundary violations despite consequences. Next, gaslighting or minimizing of your feelings. Next, coercive behaviors that aim to control rather than to cooperate. Next, significant differences in core values that matter to you. For example, honesty and responsibility. So, in such cases, therapy, individually or as a couple, can help you decide whether to stay and under what terms, or to leave safely and with dignity. Sometimes you have to be very, very wise, and you know these people. Many people know what their partners or their so called friends are capable of, and you have to be wise. And you don't, some people, I'm just gonna terminate this relationship, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and do that. No, 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 no. That's not the thing to do. You have to have dignity, and you have to do it safely, whatever you're going to do. You heard the phrase, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. You must do that, okay? Self care and repairing your emotional world. Handling disappointment well includes tending to yourself. Self care doesn't mean indulgence, it means restoring your capacity to think clearly and act from values. First, keep routines. Sleep, your nutrition, and movement help regulate mood. Next, lean on supportive people who can validate your perspective without escalating the conflict. Next, journal the facts and your feelings to avoid ruminating and to gain perspective. Next, engage in activities that restore a sense of competence and worth. Work, hobbies, or volunteerism. Healing is not forgetting. Don't make that mistake, okay? Healing is not forgetting. It's building a life that is not dominated by the wound. Isn't that nice? Oh my goodness, there's so much more of this. So much more of this, and I'm going to have to close. But I want to do this part. I'm getting closer to the end. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I want to finish this. So would you allow me? Would you stay with me? And it's there's not a lot to finish, but I really want to. This is very important to us. Oh my goodness. So next is how culture, attachment, and past wounds shape your response. I'm going to go over a little bit, okay? Your background influences what you expect from others and how you interpret disappointments. For example, people with anxious attachment may experience intensified fear of abandonment. People with avoidant attachment may distance quickly to protect themselves. Cultural norms about honor, shame, or independence always shape how we interpret the same event, and that is so true. Awareness of these predispositions lets you be kinder to yourself and more strategic in how you manage conflicts. If you recognize a recurring pattern in your relationships, for example, you always tolerate certain behaviors or you always leave at the first sign of trouble, that pattern itself is a worthy subject of reflection or therapy. When to seek professional help. Some disappointments are life altering, and the emotional fallout can be deep. Consider working with a psychologist or counselor when, first, you notice ongoing depression, anxiety, or sleep disruption tied to the event. Next, your functioning at work, parenting, or daily life is impaired. Next, you're deciding about a major life change, divorce, separation, job exit, and need clarity. Next, the relationship involves trauma, abuse, or repeated gaslighting. Repeated gaslighting. And for those who have not thought to look up gaslighting, gaslighting is serious. is serious. And I'm going to just tell you about that, okay? Gaslighting. What is gaslighting? Gaslighting is a
This is a
form
reminder. In
of
today's webcast,
psychological manipulation that causes
this is a reminder.
individuals
In today's
to
webcast,
question their reality, memories, and perceptions, often leading to confusion and self doubt. Gaslighting is a manipulative tactic where one person seeks to gain power and control over another by making them doubt their own thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. The term originates from the 1938 play Gaslight and its subsequent film adaptations. So that's what it is. It's what manipulating a person. When another person seeks to gain power and control over another person by making them doubt their own thoughts, their own feelings, and their own perceptions. That's what gaslighting is. It's psychological manipulation that causes individuals to question their reality, their memories, and perceptions, often leading to confusion and self doubt. That's what it is. That's what it is. And there are many, many people who choose to do this to other people. They might not know the term gaslighting, but they know what they're doing, okay? Professional support can help you process complex emotions, set adaptive strategies, and design a forward path that aligns with your values. Now, here are real world examples and how to apply these principles. This is such a good site. This site is psychology4.com. Real world examples and how to apply these principles. Sometimes I know I have this hour set and I try my best to stay within it, and you know I do. But I've given back some time the last couple of times, haven't I? So I can use that time for this. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Real world examples and how to apply these principles. Example one: a friend repeatedly cancels plans at the last minute. Response: regulate first, then state the impact. When you cancel, I feel like my time isn't valued. Request a specific change. Please text me by noon if you need to reschedule, and set a consequence if needed. If this continues, I'll stop making plans with you for a month. Then track whether the pattern changes. Example two: a partner hides a significant financial decision. Your response is, after calming, express how secrecy affected you, ask for full transparency, and request concrete behaviors, shared budgeting, joint decision making. Consider therapy if the secrecy represents deeper trust issues. Example three: a colleague takes credit for your work. Response: document facts, request a private meeting, explain the impact on your career and team trust, and propose how to correct the record. If patterns persist, escalate through appropriate professional channels. Our next here is practical checklist: what to do after being disappointed. The first is pause and calm your nervous system. The next is name your feelings and decide your goal for the interaction. Next, choose a time and place for the conversation that reduces reactivity. Next, use I statements and specific observations. Next, request concrete changes and offer short term tests. Next, set and enforce boundaries consistently. The next one is decide whether to forgive, reconcile, or change the relationship's terms. And the next one is seek professional help if the issue is systemic or traumatic. And here's some frequently asked questions. How long should I wait before talking to someone who disappointed me? So there's no universal rule, but a short pause, enough to calm intense emotions, is often wise. For minor slights, a few minutes to a few hours may suffice. For major breaches, waiting a day or more allows perspective and reduces reactive statements. The goal is not to delay indefinitely, but to ensure you can communicate calmly and clearly. Is it reasonable to ask for an apology every time I'm disappointed? Not every disappointment requires an apology. If the person acted with clear negligence or disrespect, an apology is reasonable. If the disappointment stems from situational factors beyond their control, empathy and problem solving may be more appropriate. Prioritize apologies when the action violated a trust or promise. Okay, let me see how many more of these I have. Okay, you can go to this site. It is psychology4.com, and it's how to act with a person who has disappointed you. I thank you so much. I'm 6 minutes over, so hey, I still have some time left on the times that I did close out early. But thank you so much for being here on Point of View. I appreciate your being here. You are awesome. You are wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is Tuesday, the 21st of April in the year 2026. We've had rain here in Dallas, which I love the rain. And I thank God for blessing us. Again, I say I thank Him for blessing us to live to see another day. And I have already decreed in the name of Jesus that all is well for you. Okay? And when I say all is, that means the present and the future. Thank you so much. Please join me again on Thursday, God willing, at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. A Point of View with me is Shirley Polk. On Fridays at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time is the Mother's Board Inc.